Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India News Hour, India's voice to the world. I am Adil Thomas. Coming up in the next hour. Donald Trump notches a commanding win in the Iowa caucus as Nikki Haley and Ron DeSantis fight for second place. Viv Ramaswamy quits US presidential race, endorses Trump.
This has been an incredible experience. The people have been, this is the third time we've won, but this is the biggest one.
India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi on a two-day visit to Andhra Pradesh and Kerala to hold roadshow and inaugurate projects worth over 4,000 crore rupees. The 7-day rituals leading to the consecration ceremony underway at the Ram Temple in Ayodhya. Over 7,000 people and around 100 representatives from different countries to attend the grand event. And TV's biggest night, the 75th primetime Emmy sees Succession, The Bear and Beef notch big wins. Well, it was perhaps the least surprising victory in the history of the Iowa caucus. Donald Trump romped to a lightning-quick victory in the first contest in the Republican race for a presidential nominee. Braving frigid cold, his supporters turned out to cement his status as the presumptive Republican standard-bearer to challenge President Joe Biden in November's election. For the first time since he lost his 2020 re-election bid, the former US president, who is being prosecuted in 4 criminal cases, faced the voters. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis stands second in the race, while former UN Ambassador Nikki Haley finished third in Iowa. Speaking from his campaigning headquarters in Des Moines in Iowa, Trump thanked his supporters, saying, "This is time now for everybody, our country, to come together." DD India's William Denslow gets us the latest.
The weather here in Iowa is absolutely freezing. If you take into account the wind chill, it's down currently at around minus 30 degrees Celsius. But support for Donald Trump remains red hot amongst Republican voters here in the Hawkeye state. Less than 5% of caucus votes have been tallied, but already major US media outlets are projecting the former president as the winner here in Iowa.
Well, I want to thank everybody. This has been some period of time, and most importantly, we want to thank the great people of Iowa. Thank you. We love you all. What a turnout, what a crowd. And I really think this is time now for everybody, our country, to come together. We want to come together, whether it's Republican or Democrat or liberal or conservative. It would be so nice if we could come together and straighten out the world and straighten out the problems and straighten out all of the death and destruction that we're witnessing. It's practically never been like this. It's just so important, and I want to make that a very big part of our message. We're going to come together. It's going to happen soon, too. It's going to happen soon.
The real question still to be decided is who comes second, former UN Ambassador Nikki Haley or Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. When it comes to the significance of Iowa, well, it only accounts for around a couple of percent of the total delegates needed to become the Republican Party's nominee to be president. But it's all about this keyword, momentum. It is a long campaign with the candidates crisscrossing the nation to decide who will ultimately be the party's candidate. But this is a very strong first step from Donald Trump. Strength of the former president, that brand recognition, of course, that he has. And he's really been running this campaign almost like an incumbent. He's been avoiding the debates from the other Republican hopefuls, really sending a message that he is the rightful heir apparent to be the next Republican presidential nominee and letting the other candidates really battle it out in the sandbox. So what we're seeing from voters in Iowa is they're very much adhering to that confidence that Donald Trump has been portraying. For Ron DeSantis, this is an incredibly significant state for him to perform well in. Unlike some other candidates, he has been to each of the 99 counties in the state of Iowa. He's attended more campaign events than Nikki Haley and Donald Trump combined. So he's put plenty of eggs in the Iowa basket. So for many analysts, a disappointing night here in Iowa could be a huge setback for his campaign.
Nikki Haley has now turned her attention to New Hampshire after coming in third in the Iowa caucus. Third-place finisher Nikki Haley touted her showing to supporters, saying that because she surpassed expectations, the Republican presidential contest is now a two-person race. She also told the audience at her caucus that watch party that she represented the last best hope of stopping the Trump-Biden nightmare.
Thank you, Iowa. We're going to congratulate President Trump on his win tonight. We have had an amazing 11 months here in the Hawkeye State. I came to Iowa early and often, and I kept coming back, even though the cold weather is brutal.
Viv Ramaswami, a multimillionaire, former biotech executive, ended his White House bid and endorsed Donald Trump after his long-shot bid got attention but failed to catapult him enough in the Republican Party's first nomination contest in Iowa. Ramaswamy was one of the surprise of the 2024 Republican race dominated by former President Trump. A fierce defender of Trump throughout the campaign, Ramaswamy likely secured himself a spot in Republican politics going forward with his youthful demeanor, deep pockets, and fast-talking campaign. U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris warned Americans on Monday that their freedom is threatened as she commemorated Martin Luther King Jr. Day in the early voting state of South Carolina. Harris urged voters to help in protect American rights from Republicans. U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris said that freedom in the country is under profound threat, citing the Supreme Court's overturning of the Roe v. Wade, long lines for voting, and the prevalence of gun violence.
Well, as Vice President of the United States, I'd say at this moment in America, freedom is under profound threat. Today, in fact, we are witnessing a full-on attack on hard-fought, hard-won freedoms.
Well, let's also get you some reactions from Iowa residents who are supporting Donald Trump.
I can't divorce myself from Trump. I mean, his qualifications and his performance over the last term that he had, and the persecution that he's put himself through, or they've put him through, is just unreal.
4 years or 6 years, it'd be 8 years ago now when he took over. He made significant changes in what went on. I don't think there's another person running that is strong enough to fight the establishment and to get things done.
Trump, because I know we both feel the same, and he's done an awesome job in the past, and I know he'll take care of business this time. And he's real important to us, and I think he's going to do an excellent job.
I don't think there's ever been a more important time for President Trump. Our world is going to hell in a handbasket if we don't stop it.
Moving on, amidst the ongoing West Asia conflict, the Israeli military on Tuesday said it killed dozens of Palestinian terrorists in northern Gaza during an operation. Meanwhile, the troops also located approximately 100 rocket set installations and 60 ready-to-use rockets. Israel has asserted that only military pressure on Hamas will force them to release hostage. Comments from Defense Minister Yoav Gallant came after Hamas released a new video that purportedly showed the dead bodies of 2 Israeli hostages killed in captivity. While Israel's defense minister said Hamas is carrying out a psychological abuse when asked about the fate of hostages held by Hamas.
The release of hostages will only happen as a result of military pressure. If we stop the military pressure, we will seal the fate to stay in Gaza, because Hamas will not be motivated to discuss or talk to us. They only talk to us when they want something. The something now is ceasefire. The moment we give them ceasefire without a price, they won't talk to us.
While in the same video, a third Israeli hostage can be seen reading a script in front of a blank white wall, saying that the 2 were killed by our own IDF strikes, referring to the Israeli military, but Israel has refuted the claims.
Itai was not shot by our forces. That is a Hamas lie. The building in which they were held was not a target, and it was not attacked by our forces. We didn't know exactly their locations. We don't attack a place if we know there may be hostages inside. We know that we targeted locations that are close to where they were held captive.
Israel's defense minister Yoav Gallant also said on Monday that the Israeli troops have been withdrawn from a division stationed at southern Gaza. Earlier, as per the Israeli army, they have dismantled Hamas military structures in the north and is looking forward to achieve the same goal in south by pressing on their ground operations in the southern cities of Khan Yunis and Rafah in recent weeks.
We have completed the implementation stages and we have moved on to the intensive stage that lasted for 3 months. This stage in the north of Gaza Strip has ended. In the south of the Strip, we will continue and it will end soon. In both areas, we will reach a moment that we will move to the next stages.
Iran's Revolutionary Guard Corps struck spy headquarters of Israel in Iraq's semi-autonomous Kurdish region and Syria with ballistic missiles. The US has condemned the Iranian attack and said that they oppose such reckless missile strikes. As per Iran, these attacks are revenge for the killings of 3 members of the guards in Syria due to an Israeli airstrike last month. The strikes come after West Asia conflict, primarily between Israel and Hamas, rages on, with Iran's allies from Lebanon, Syria, Iraq and Yemen also joining hands against Israel. Iran has also promised for more such attacks. Meanwhile, Iranian Foreign Minister has warned the United States and UK to stop the attack against Yemen. He made the remarks at a joint press conference in Tehran.
The United States cannot call for restraint while supporting Israel or provoke a conflict in the Red Sea by attacking Yemen while claiming that it does not want a wider war in the region.
Still to come on DD India News Hour. Ukraine shoots down 2 Russian command aircraft in a blow to Moscow. US says disappointing of Nora to ditch Taiwan, accuses China of post-election ploy. Pacific nations meet in China to discuss naval issues.
This is Dashrath Mahal or Dashrath Palace, which is thought to have served the home of Lord Rama in his younger days and also served as a capital of King Dashrath.
राम राज्य पूर्णतः 22 जनवरी को वापस आ रहा है। हम लोगों में एकदम हर्ष उल्लास है। जय श्री राम। पूरी अयोध्या मालूम दुल्हन की तरह सज गई है।
राम राज्य के दर्शन करने सब राज आएगा। ये पृथ्वी का ना राजा राम जी है।
अयोध्या में राम जी का भव्य मंदिर, दिव्य मंदिर बन रहा है। ये हमारे स्वाभिमान का प्रतीक है।
Iconic Ram Ki Pedi or the series of ghats on the bank of much revered river Saryu.
राम जी का राज्य था, राम जी का राज्य है, राम जी का राज्य रहेगा।
You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Anil Thomas. Updates now from the Russia-Ukraine summit. Switzerland has agreed to host a global peace summit on Ukraine at the request of Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky on Monday. The Swiss government said Switzerland will host a summit on the peace formula on the request of President Zelensky, with planning starting on Tuesday. Meanwhile, Zelensky said we are open to all countries that respect our sovereignty and territorial integrity at the peace summit. He also insisted the presence of the global south. Zelensky arrived in Switzerland to participate in the World Economic Forum in Davos on Monday.
As for the list of countries, we are open to all countries of the world that respect our sovereignty and territorial integrity. So you can make your own conclusion about who we invite. We would like the Global South countries definitely to be present.
Global South.
Speaking on the sidelines of the World Economic Forum, Belarusian opposition leader Svetlana Tsikhanouskaya said that Belarus is waiting for Ukraine to engage in official political meetings.
So actually we met with President Zelensky unofficially. It was a bilateral meeting, and I see that official Kyiv is rather cautious about officially communicating with the democratic process of Belarus. It's understandable on the one hand, but we are waiting until they will be ready to meet with us.
In the latest update on the Russia-Ukraine armed conflict, Russia claimed its armed forces had hit Ukrainian artillery systems and fuel depots on Monday, while Ukraine said its air force had hit Russian air defense missile systems and other targets. The Russian Defense Ministry said its army repelled multiple attacks by the Ukrainian side in Kranse, Liman, Donetsk, Kupiansk and other directions, and also hit Ukrainian targets such as artillery systems and fuel depots. Ukrainian forces claim to have intercepted Russian air defense forces. The General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine claims to have shot down Russian aircraft in the Sea of Azov on Monday. Shifting focus to the Indo-Pacific now, U.S. officials in charge of managing unofficial ties with Taiwan expressed disappointment, especially over Nora's choice to sever ties with Taipei shortly after an election. The official also cautioned that Beijing's assurance remained frequently unmet. The Pacific, where tiny Nora is located, has become a source of intense competition for influence between Washington and Beijing.
The sovereign decision, it is nonetheless a disappointing one. It is disappointing to see distorted narratives about UN Resolution 2758 being used as a tool to pressure Taiwan, limit its voice on the international stage, and influence its diplomatic relationships. What I will say is the United States has deep confidence in Taiwan's democracy and its democratic process.
Taiwan's government believes it was expecting China to up its military pressure towards it after the recent elections. During a defense ministry's regular press conference, Taiwan's defense ministry said that this increased pressure may combine regular combat readiness patrols, cognitive warfare, and gray zone tactics.
According to the research and judgment of the Defense Ministry, the PLA, or the People's Liberation Army, will continue to strengthen its pressure towards Taiwan in the near future through regular combat readiness patrols and other activities combining cognitive warfare and gray zone intrusions.
Taiwan's premier has said that the cabinet will resign in accordance with the past constitutional practice before the new parliament meets next month. The ruling Democratic Progressive Party, that's DPP, won last week's presidential election but lost its parliamentary majority. This means that President-elect Lai Ching-te may have to reach out to opposition parties to appoint a premier who will then form a cabinet. Top naval officers from countries in the Pacific region, including Japan, Russia and the US, are meeting in China's Nanjing in a bid to overhaul rules on unplanned encounters at sea. The three-day talks among 70 delegates from 30 countries comes amid rising sea encounters between China and Philippines. China lays claim to almost the entire South China Sea, where Philippines, Taiwan and Vietnam also have competing claims. The talks will also lay the groundwork for the biennial Western Pacific Naval Symposium that will also be held in China. South Korean President Yun Suol has criticized North Korea's move to define the South as a hostile country. He said the move showed Pyongyang's anti-national and ahistorical nature. Yun promised that provocations will be met with their own response on a multiplied scale. Earlier, Kim Jong-un called for a constitutional amendment to change the status of South Korea to a separate state. In a speech to the Supreme People's Assembly, North Korea's rubber-stamp parliament, Kim warned that while his country doesn't seek war, it didn't intend to avoid it. According to the state media, 3 organizations dealing with unification and inter-Korean tourism will shut down. Earlier, South Korea, the United States and Japan, in a call on Monday, condemned North Korea's launch of a solid-fuel intermediate-range ballistic missile a day earlier. According to the State Department's release, 3 sides underscored that such actions are dangerous, irresponsible and destabilizing the regional as well as international security. It added that the mission launch violated multiple UN Security Council resolutions. Pyongyang has fired the solid-fuel intermediate-range ballistic missile over the weekend. Guatemala's armed forces recognized President Bernardo Arevalo as their commander-in-chief during a ceremony on Monday. Leftist Bernardo was sworn in as Guatemala's new president after the ceremony was delayed for hours by hostile lawmakers. Guatemala's new liberal president, Bernardo, faces huge obstacles to anti-graft drive. During the military ceremony, Guatemalan Defense Minister Henry Saez asked the international community and Guatemalans to trust that the armed forces would respect democracy and peace agreements. Arevalo, an academician and former diplomat, path to victory in August, promises to lift up millions of poor indigenous Guatemalans, crack down on corruption, and also protect democracy that has been under attack. Meanwhile, political tensions was running high in the Comoros on Monday, with violent incidents reported one day after the presidential vote. Comoros kicked off its first round of presidential elections on Sunday to select the national leader from among 6 candidates, which include the incumbent President Azali Assoumani for the next 5 years. Supporters of the 5 opposition candidates have accused Electoral Authority of delaying voting in the electoral strongholds. The result of the first round is expected sometime this week. Provisional results may be announced on Monday by the country's Electoral Commission. If no candidates wins more than 50% of the votes, the 2 candidates with the highest number of votes will proceed to a runoff round on February 25th. Some updates on the weather front now. A volcano that erupted in southwest Iceland for the second time to be significantly less active on Tuesday past midnight, despite signs of magma still flowing underground. The Icelandic Meteorological Office said that although volcanic activity has eased since Sunday, the eruption center is a high-risk area and new fissures could open without warning. Officials further said it is difficult to estimate how long the eruptions will last, adding that new cracks might appear within Greenwich in the next few days. In Colorado, plow machines have been deployed after heavy snow filled the streets of the U.S. state. Recently, most of the United States is grappling by an Arctic blast on Monday in the northern states, and with Texas and potentially dampening turnout in Iowa, where voters cast their first ballots for a Republican candidate in November's presidential race. The dangerous frigid weather is expected to linger throughout the week, hitting the Midwest hitting the Midwest hardest and freezing rain across the southern and mid-Atlantic states. Heavy rain buffeted a Brazilian city and killed at least 12 people. The rain flooded streets of the capital's city metro line and people's home in Rio, bringing down trees and causing landslides. The mayor of Rio City, Eduardo Paes, announced a state of emergency, while President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva's government offered federal support. The United States will deploy 2 military helicopters in Japan to the earthquake-hit Noto Peninsula. Japan's Minister of Defense, Minoru Kihara, said that the U.S. ambassador to Japan, Rahm Emanuel, has posted on social media that the United States will deploy 2 Black Hawk helicopters. Relief efforts have been hampered by strong aftershocks that could trigger fresh landslides and further damage weakened structures.
The US forces has ready transportation means available in Japan, such as the helicopters, which can quickly provide self-sufficient transport to disaster victims. And on top of that, they are working closely with the Japanese self-defense forces on a regular basis. So it wouldn't become a major burden to the local authorities on the ground in terms of coordination for receiving the aid. Taking all these into consideration, we made an exceptional request to the US forces in Japan for transporting supplies.
Well, let's take a look at other stories making news around the world. The World Health Organization has appealed for a $1.5 billion funding to respond to the health need of millions of people caught up in dozens of humanitarian crises across the world. The WHO DG, Tedros Ghebreyesus, said an estimated 166 million people would require health assistance around the world this year. Farmers and their tractors rumbled towards Berlin from every corner of Germany on Sunday ahead of a giant protest that demands a rethink of plans to tax farmers more. The protests are expected to draw 3,000 tractors, 2,000 trucks and 10,000 people from around the country and will cap a week of nationwide unrest that has put further strain on Chancellor Olaf Scholz's coalition as it grapples with a budget mess and rising far-right forces. A local firm in Benin is transforming everyday bio-waste into a powerful energy source. A small but dedicated team is revolutionizing the way hundreds of homes and more than a dozen farms in Benin manage waste and energy. The Miang people, with a profound history in Vietnam, proudly carry a cultural legacy that is both rich and unique. Despite the impact of modern societal changes on their culture, a devoted Hoang artist is passionately dedicated to preserving and sharing their unique tradition with the world. Still to come on DD India News Hour. India inks first overseas lithium mining deal for 5 blocks in Argentina. President Draupadi Murmu steals the show at the 5th Meghalaya Games launch. Cold wave conditions in North India puts life out of gear. 30 flights delayed amid dense fog.
That never stops, where information shapes our reality. One app stands out, helps you stay ahead of time. Introducing the DD India app, your gateway to a world of news right at your fingertips. Your most trusted source of news goes global, goes digital. Explore a world of options, top stories, live updates, in-depth analysis, and more. Stay informed wherever you are. Real-time alerts keep you ahead of the curve always. The DD India app, connecting you to the world, one story at a time. Download now and explore the world of knowledge, insights, and authentic information.
This is Dashrath Mahal or Dashrath Palace, which is thought to have served the home of Lord Rama in his younger days and also served as a capital of King Dashrath.
राम राज्य पूर्णतः 22 जनवरी को वापस आ रहा है। हम लोगों में एकदम हर्ष उल्लास है। जय श्री राम। पूरी अयोध्या मालूम दुल्हन की तरह सज गई है।
राम राज के दर्शन करने सब राज आएगा। ये पृथ्वी का ना राजा राम जी है।
अयोध्या में राम जी का भव्य मंदिर, दिव्य मंदिर बन रहा है। ये हमारे स्वाभिमान का प्रतीक है।
Iconic Ram Ki Pedi or the series of ghats on the bank of much revered river Saryu.
राम जी का राज्य था, राम जी का राज्य है, राम जी का राज्य रहेगा।
You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Anil Thomas. A quick recap of the headlines. Donald Trump notches a commanding win in the Iowa caucus as Nikki Haley, Ron DeSantis fight for second place. Viv Ramaswami quits US presidential race, endorses Trump. The 7-day rituals leading to the consecration ceremony underway at the Ram Temple in Ayodhya. Over 7,000 people and around 100 representatives from different countries to attend the grand event. And TV's biggest night, the 75th primetime Emmy sees Succession, The Bear and Beef notch big wins. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi today offered prayers at the Virabhadra Temple in Lipakshi in the southern state of Andhra Pradesh. The temple was built in the 16th century. Prime Minister Modi is on a 2-day visit to Andhra Pradesh and southern state of Kerala, which began today. He will inaugurate the new campus of the National Academy of Customs, Indirect Tax and Narcotics in Andhra Pradesh and will also interact with the officer trainees of the 74th and 75th batches of the Indian Revenue Service, that's IRS, and officer trainees of the Royal Civil Service of Bhutan. Prime Minister will then travel to Kerala and reach Kochi this evening and hold a roadshow from Maharaja College ground to the government guest house on his way to Ernakulam. India's President Draupadi Murmu, who's on a visit to the northeastern state of Meghalaya today, laid the foundation stone for the newly integrated administrative complex in Tura virtually. She also addressed the members of the self-help groups at the Baljek airport, an event organized by the government of Meghalaya. The president in a speech said that the Indian government is making every possible effort so that women contribute equally in the socio-economic development of Meghalaya. She also inaugurated the 5th Meghalaya Games.
The government of India is making every possible effort to ensure that women contribute actively and in large numbers in the socio-economic development of the country. Several steps have been taken to improve women's participation in the workforce. Many protective and supportive provisions have been included in labor laws. The government has launched many schemes which have proved helpful in raising the standards of living of women.
India's trade deficit narrowed in December to $19.8 billion as compared to $20.6 billion in November. This is according to the data from the Ministry of Commerce and Industry. Indian Commerce Secretary said India is beating global trends even after adverse conditions that the globe is facing. Though officials signaled that the turmoil in the Red Sea could have an impact on this month's figures. Key features include the exports rising by 1% to $38.45 billion US, imports falling by 4.9% to $58.25 billion. Exports rose by 13.4% on a month-on-month basis, while imports rose by 6.9% on a month-on-month basis. Key export items on the annual basis: export of engineering goods that stood at 3.1% lower, petroleum products were 7.5% lower, gems and jewelry exports 12% lower, organic and inorganic chemical exports 11.4% lower, drugs and pharmaceutical exports 7.3% higher. The government hopes to find solutions for trade disruptions and explore opportunities for exporting affected inventories. India's merchandise export in December 2023 registered a 0.9% growth in comparison to December 2022. The exports in December 2023 were valued at $38.48 billion, while they were valued at $38.08 billion in December 2022. Major contributors to export growth in December 23 include engineering and electronic goods, iron ore, and pharmaceuticals. Electronic goods exports registered an increase of more than 14%, valued at $10 billion. Engineering goods exports registered more than 10% rise. In fact, December 2023 recorded the highest monthly export of engineering goods in the current financial year. In a significant development, the Indian government has signed an agreement for lithium exploration in South American country Argentina. The agreement was signed between Kanchi Bidesh India Limited or KABIL and the state-owned enterprise CAMEN or Catamarca province of Argentina on Monday. This is the first ever lithium exploration and mining project by a government-owned Indian company. KABIL will start exploration and development of 5 lithium brine blocks covering an area of about 16,000 hectares located in the Catamarca province of Argentina. KABIL is also preparing to set up a branch office at Catamarca in Argentina for the project, the cost of which is about 2 billion rupees. Argentina is part of the lithium triangle along with Chile and Bolivia, with more than half of the world's total lithium deposits. A half-day-long TechAid D2M Bharat 5G Broadcast Summit is being organized by IIT Kanpur and Sankhya Labs at the India Habitat Center in New Delhi. The summit aims to promote direct-to-mobile broadcasting as a major disruption in the mobile broadcasting space. This indigenous technology is aligned with Indian Prime Minister's vision of making Atmanirbhar Bharat and making India successful in driving India's technology landscape. India's G20 Sherpa and former CEO of Niti Aayog, Amitabh Kant, spoke about how India is the largest consumer of mobile data in the world with growing global stature.
We've come a long way from 2015 when the Prime Minister, Mr. Modi, launched Digital India. When Digital India was launched, actually, India's global position was 123 in per capita data consumption. And by 2021, we had a leapfrog to become #1 in the world. So what we've done is moved from 123 to #1 in the world. And India today consumes more data, more per capita mobile data than what the US and China do together.
Dense layer of fog blanketed parts of North India as the mercury dropped on Tuesday yet again. Indian Meteorological Department has issued multiple warnings for cold wave as well as dense fog throughout the northern states of the country. States like Punjab, Haryana, North Madhya Pradesh, Uttar Pradesh, Bihar and West Bengal experienced thick fog early on Tuesday. The Weather Department has also said that a number of states from the north to the east will also experience rainfall. The national capital again woke to dense fog and bone-chilling cold that also hit flight and rail operations. Reportedly, 30 Delhi-bound trains were delayed on Tuesday morning, whereas at least many flights were diverted and more than 100 flights were delayed at the Delhi airport on Monday night. Airport's visibility data shows very less visibility in dense to very dense fog conditions. Delhi's Palam Airport reported 100 meters visibility early on Tuesday morning. Well, time now to get you some special stories from Ayodhya ahead of the grand opening of the Ram Temple on the 22nd of this month. Well, as the consecration of Ram Temple at Ayodhya draws near, let's take a look at the 7-day rituals of the consecration ceremony that begins today. Anita Raj has the latest.
Ayodhya, the Uttar Pradesh town situated on the banks of Saryu, is set to witness the 7-day rituals of the consecration ceremony of Ram Temple that begins on Tuesday. The rituals will culminate on January 22nd with the grand ceremony that will be presided over by India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi and will be attended by thousands of other guests. The final countdown for Ram Temple's consecration ceremony has begun. The religious rituals will begin from January 16th and will continue till January 21st. On January 22nd, Pran Pratishtha ceremony will take place. The schedule includes an atonement ceremony and Dashwit bath on January 16th. On January 17th, the Pran Pratishtha ceremony will mark a pivotal step in the festivities following the worship of Lord Ganesha. January 18th will witness the commencement of special rituals, adding to the auspiciousness of the occasion. At the Ram Temple on January 19th, a Yagya fire pit will be prepared, guided by Vedic mantras and special methods, a ritual of profound significance for devotees. On January 20th, the Sanctum Sanctorum of the Ram Mandir will undergo purification with water from various rivers. The ceremonious bathing of Ram Lalla will take place on January 21st, accompanied by Yagya rituals, enhancing the spiritual atmosphere. The much-anticipated consecration will unfold on January 22nd, coinciding with the auspicious Mrigashira Nakshatra. Devotees eagerly await the chance to witness this significant event, seeking a glimpse of Ram Lalla during the consecration ceremony. 51-inch tall stone idol of Lord Ram, depicting him as a 5-year-old child, to be installed in the temple, weighing between 150 kilograms and 200 kilograms, and depicts the deity in a standing posture. Anita Raj's report, DD India.
Well, Ayodhya is gearing up for the grand inauguration of the Ram Temple on Jan 22nd. It is anticipated that there will be a substantial boost in business activities across the country. To get us more on this, we have Siddharth Bharadwaj, who joins us from Ayodhya. Siddharth, you seem to be immersed in the colors of Ayodhya, but, taking us through, how from today the process begins till 22nd. Take us through the details on what exactly begins today to the 7-day countdown.
Well, definitely. First of all, a very good afternoon, Anil, and the magic is certainly in the air as I'm here in Ayodhya. The city is just buzzing with excitement. Everyone here, including the pilgrims and tourists and everyone here, the devotees, they are very happy. They're very excited for the big day, which is on January 22nd. We all know the Pran Pratishtha. Well, the rituals, according to Hindu traditions, have started from today and they will go on till January 21 and 22nd of January, as we all know, like just said, it's a big day. It's Pran Pratishtha. Everyone is just waiting for this historic moment, not just in India, but across the world, Anil. People are here. This place has undergone a major transformation, Anil, in terms of infrastructure and mode of commute as well, and business also. So all in all, it's a win-win situation for this place. The place is also giving an economic boost to this region. And authorities are at the same time leaving no stone unturned in ensuring the fact that everything goes smooth and the influx of tourists met with transportation. So everything is being taken care of, Anil, here. And I also have some special guests with me. आपका नाम क्या है?
कैलाश उपाध्याय
जी, बताइए कितना अयोध्या कितना ज़्यादा अभी खूबसूरत हो चुका है?
बहुत खूबसूरत है। हमने त्रेता युग तो नहीं देखा होगा, लेकिन आज हमें महसूस हो रहा है कि त्रेता युग का वो समय वापस आ गया है अयोध्या में। और अयोध्या एक केंद्र बिंदु है पूरे देश का, और अयोध्या के माध्यम से आज सभी सनातनी एकदम से जागृत हो चुके हैं और उनके शरीर में प्राणों का संचार हो गया है। ये अयोध्या किसी समय उदास, मायूस, सुस्त थी, लेकिन आज जब हिंदू राजाओं की वजह से इन दो योद्धाओं की वजह से, हिंदुओं के हृदय सम्राटों की वजह से आज इस अयोध्या के अंदर प्राण फूंक दिए हैं और पूरे देश के सनातनी एक होकर भगवान राम जी के उस पावन 22 तारीख वाले उत्सव को मनाने के लिए इतने उत्साहित है जिसकी कोई सीमा नहीं, शब्दों से बयान नहीं कर सकता मैं।
आप बताइए कितने उत्साहित हैं लोग अयोध्या में अभी?
जय श्री राम। आने वाले सभी भक्तों को मेरा राम राम। 22 तारीख को जो बहुत ही भव्य प्रोग्राम हो रहा है, सभी यहाँ के आए हुए आने वाले भक्तों से कहते हैं विश्व के कल्याण के लिए सोचते हुए एक मंत्र सुनाना चाहता हूँ। द्यो हो शांतिरंतरिक्ष गुं शांति ही। शांति के लिए आए और सभी के लिए विश्व की शांति के लिए मैं कामना करता हूँ शांति हो। और हमारा भारत है, राष्ट्र भारत के नाम से मैं तन मन धन से जो भी पाठ पूजा करता हूँ मैं उन्हीं के नाम पर समर्पित करता हूँ। जय श्री राम।
Well, Anil, you can see the excitement is certainly in the air. Like I was saying, everyone is very much excited for the big day, January 22nd. And also, when I'm saying all these things, Anil, I want to say one thing more, that whatever is happening in Ayodhya in terms of infrastructure development and all the other things, it's a strong message to the world that what India is capable of and how India is developing in terms of its infrastructure and how India is developing, India is progressing as a nation together. That's a strong message to the world that goes out from here, from Ayodhya, Anil.
Okay, also looking at how the dimensions of Ayodhya as a city, a quiet city that suddenly come into prominence and has taken the world by storm with regards to the consecration on 22nd. How does it change the dynamics of, Ayodhya per se in terms of, the business growing leaps and bounds? I was reading a report there by CAIT that spoke about, the consecration ceremony itself generating close to 1 lakh crore of business.
Well, definitely, Anil. I would like to say that, I just mentioned, as you all, know, Anil, that a few days back, Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi came to Ayodhya. He inaugurated the redeveloped Ayodhya Dham Junction railway station and flagged off a few Vande Bharat trains, Amrit Bharat trains, and also inaugurated terminal of Maharishi Valmiki International Airport. When I'm saying this, I'm saying that there will be more influx of tourists here. And when there will be more influx of tourists, there will be more boom in the business. So from local vendor to a big businessman in this region, everyone is getting benefited, from the entire activity which is happening here in Ayodhya right now. Let's, for example, there's a vendor who's selling flowers, and more tourists will come here. They will buy flowers from that vendor. Like that vendor, there are some other local vendors as well whose businesses have been booming. So this is how, it is impacting like anything, in terms of goods. So like I was saying, it's a win-win situation for this region. More and more tourists are coming and more people are getting benefited in terms of business. And, this region altogether is getting benefited, in terms of economy.
Okay, we'll leave it there. Thank you and appreciate you joining us. DD India's Siddharth Bharadwaj getting us the latest from Ayodhya as we do a big build-up to the consecration ceremony on the 22nd of January. Don't miss that coverage, live and exclusive, only on DD News and DD India. Moving forward, India's Prime Minister has shared a melodious hymn sung in Kannada by singer Shivashri Shakhar Prasad. Prime Minister tweeted and praised her melodious voice. He wrote, "This rendition in Kannada beautifully highlights the spirit of devotion to Prabhu Sri Ram. Such efforts go a long way in preserving our rich cultural heritage." Let's take a look at some other stories making news. The joint military exercise Desert Cyclone between India and the UAE has culminated in the Indian western state of Rajasthan. Troops from the Zayed 1st Brigade of UAE and India's Mechanized Infantry Regiment took part in the exercise. The exercise emphasized on the improvement of interoperability in sub-conventional operations within desert terrains. In a historic first, an exclusive female marching contingent representing all three services, Indian Army, Navy and the Air Force, is going to participate in this year's Republic Day parade. The groundbreaking group showcased their skills during a rehearsal parade held in India's capital, New Delhi. Indian Coast Guard launched a major rescue operation on Tuesday after a ferry boat with 400 pilgrims ran ground off near Ganga Sagar pilgrimage due to poor visibility in India's West Bengal. Around 140 pilgrims have been rescued and operations are still underway. The highly anticipated 75th Emmy Awards, delayed by the actors and writers strike in the US, made a dazzling return with expected winners and some heartfelt moments, earning multiple standing ovations. Following their success at the Golden Globes, shows like Succession, The Bear and Beef continued their winning streak, securing major awards at the Emmy stage. The awards show brought together stars like Joy Sunday, Ken Jeong and Padma Lakshmi graced the event in their finest attire, celebrating television's grandest night.
You're perfect, and that smile with the front leg of you.
You're watching DD India News Hour. Time now for Sports Buzz. India's Sumit Nagal created history as he became the first Indian to reach the second round of the Australian Open after 11 years. The Indian #1 tennis star outclassed 31 seeded Alexander Bublik in straight sets 6-4, 6-2, 7-6 to progress in the second round of the prestigious tournament. Argentina's Lionel Messi retained the FIFA Men's Player of the Year trophy on Monday, beating Manchester City's treble-winning Norwegian striker Erling Haaland and Paris Saint-Germain's French forward Kylian Mbappe to the award. Messi also secured the men's award in 2022 after guiding Argentina to World Cup victory. He clinched the League One title with PSG alongside Mbappe following the success before moving to Major League Soccer team Inter Miami. Messi edged Haaland in the tiebreaker after both were on 48 points each after voting by a global panel of national team coaches and captains, selected journalists plus fans online. The tiebreaker was whoever had more first place or 5-point scores from the votes of national team captains. That category was 107-64 for the Inter Miami forward. However, Messi was not present to collect the trophy. On to Australian Open, the first Grand Slam of the year. Top seed Iga Swiatek defeated former champion Sofia Kenin in a first-round match, securing a 7-6, 6-2 win at the first Grand Slam of the year, the Australian Open, in the women's singles. In a rematch of the 2020 French Open final, Swiatek was pushed to her limits by the 41st-ranked Kenin, despite a strong start from the American, who displayed the confidence that led to her winning the only Grand Slam title 4 years ago. Swiatek showcased her problem-solving skills and resilience to storm into the round of 64. 11th seed Casper Ruud advanced to the second round of the Australian Open. He beat Spaniard Alberto Ramos Viñoles 6-1, 6-3, 6-1. On to FIH Hockey Olympic qualifiers, the Indian women's hockey team will take on Italy in their final group game today in the race for qualification for the Paris Olympics. India have 1 win, 1 loss under the belt, till now stands third in the 4-team pool. On Sunday, they registered a 3-1 win against New Zealand in their second match. A win will only be useful if other results lean India's way, and with New Zealand taking on the US in the other game. It might just come down to goal difference, making both getting maximum goals and denying any to the opposition crucial. Well, that's all in this edition of DD India News Hour, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. You can connect with us on X, Facebook, Instagram. You can also visit our website ddindia.co.in. We're going to be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I am Anil Thomas. From all of us here in Delhi, thanks for watching DD India News Hour.